other than in meetings, not on our personals.
It looks like we do have one there,
Okay, can we please have roll call?
of course. Councilmember Snyder,
Present.
Councilmember Holliver,
Present.
Councilmember Fung,
We'll come back to him.
Councilmember Fung, Vice Mayor Pappen,
Here.
Mayor Oliva.
Here.
4 members of the city council are present.
Okay, can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Fung is present, so all members of the city council are present.
Thank you. We're going to move into our ceremonial presentations. And our first presentation tonight is a proclamation proclaiming September 5th as Labor Day. And we have a Teamster 856 Union Representative, Mark Leach. Is he here tonight? Mark?
Present. Good to see you.
Welcome. Elena, there we go. So, Mark, whereas Labor Day is observed annually on the first Monday in September to honor and recognize the vital contributions of the labor movement and the men and women whose work has built our state and nation, and whereas workers have worked tirelessly to organize rallies and strikes to advocate for reform, Labor Day was made to demonstrate the contributions of working class towards the America's economy, prosperity, and industrial strength. And whereas over the years, the labor movement has won many battles, such as establishing a 40-hour work week, eliminating child labor, and securing health and safety protections for workers. And whereas the Protecting the Right to Organize PRO Act was established to empower workers to exercise their freedom to organize and negotiate for better wages and working conditions. It increases workers' protections and strengthens institutions to hold corporations accountable. And whereas Labor Day is a creation of the labor movement and its dedication to the social and economic achievements of American workers, we do not only celebrate and thank workers, but we strive to keep improving working conditions and opportunities. Now, therefore, we, the members of our Millbury City Council, do proclaim September 5th, 2022 as Labor Day. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Did you have anything you'd like to add to
Sure,
this?
I would definitely like to add a happy Labor Day to the mayor and council. And I want to accept this proclamation on behalf of all workers, especially the Millbury employees who are proud members of Teamsters 856, working hard to ensure Millbury is clean, safe, and ready for its residents and visitors every day. I hope everyone has a safe and happy Labor Day.
Thank you very much. Our second proclamation tonight is proclaiming September 11th as Patriot Day and National Day of Service and Remembrance. Do we have Deputy Fire Chief, Central County Fire Department, Ken Giacotto?
Yes, I'm on this call. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Whereas on September 11th, 2001, nearly 3,000 innocent men and women and children lost their lives in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Shanksville, Pennsylvania in a terrorist attack. And whereas each year on this somber date, we remember the horror and bravery shown that day, just as remember how we came together, united in grief and in purpose. And whereas the terror and loss inflicted on our nation showed that we as people, as Americans, are truly made of, demonstrated by the people who came out to the aid of all those in need. And whereas we honor the first responders, firefighters, law enforcement officers, emergency workers, and service members who answered the call of duty, and the brave civilians who rushed into action to save lives that day. And we must stand by one another and carry forward the legacy of strength and sacrifice. By uniting and uplifting one another, we can build a stronger, more resilient community. And whereas we will never forget the tragedy and the sacrifices of this day, and will allow us to pay tribute to our first responders and the civilians for their heroic actions. Now, therefore, we, the members of the Millbrae City Council, do hereby proclaim September 11, 2022 as Patriotic Day and National Day of Service and Remembrance. Would you like to add anything?
Yes, Madam Mayor, City Council members, thank you for this recognition. I'm honored to accept this on behalf of the Central County Fire Department. And for those of you that were not aware, we sent 3 members to the 9/11 during the rescue and recovery mission. It was current Chief Bruce Barron, current firefighter Steve Ellers, and retired Fire Captain Don Chesney, who worked tirelessly for about 20 days there on the pile, as it was referred to. And we have approximately 20 members of the Central County Fire Department that are still dedicated to this FEMA task force that are ready to respond in events like this. So thank you for this recognition.
And we thank you for every day that you do what you do.
Thank you.
With that, I'd like to move on to the agenda overview, and I'll look to our city manager, Tom Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Good evening to you and members of the City Council. Tom Williams, City Manager. In terms of the agenda overview, going to item number 2, we have calendar of events and our reports of bills and claims. Also, a report out from the July 12th, 2022 and July 26th, 2022 closed sessions. There is no reportable action from the July 12th, 2022 City Council closed session, and there is no reportable action from one of the items of Glorioso claim, and there's no reportable action with the conference with labor negotiators. Then we move on to the approval of the meeting minutes, special meeting minutes of June 28th and special meeting minutes of July 12th. There are no oral reports this evening from any committee or commission chairs. When we move to public communication, this is the place on the agenda that any member of the public can address the City Council on any item not on the agenda. Public communication is limited to 3 minutes. Then we move to the consent calendar. We have 10 items on the consent calendar this evening. I know it's lengthy, but they are just, more or less some housekeeping items. The first one is item 5, adopt a resolution finding that the proclaimed state of emergency continues to impact the city's ability to meet safely, and declaring that the City Council and City Commissions and committees will continue to meet remotely in order to ensure the health and safety of the public. Item number 6 is to receive and file the monthly general fund financial report for the period ending June 30th, 2022. Item number 7 is council consideration to recess for the month of August 2022. Item number 8 is to consider a resolution authorizing the collection of the fiscal year 22-23 stormwater fees on the San Mateo County tax roll. Item number 9 is to consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an amendment to an agreement in the amount of $7,905.20 with Positive Electric for lighting installation services for the fitness court and skate park renovation project. This increasing the agreements not to exceed amount for services to a total of $67,905.19. Item number 10 is to consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to issue purchase orders to suppliers selected by the Bay Area Chemical Consortium for the amount of $136,000 for chloride, sodium hyperchlorite disinfectant chemicals for our water pollution control plant. Item number 11 is to consider a resolution awarding the construction contract to G. Bortolotta and Company for the 2022 pavement rehabilitation project in the amount of $627,522, and also establishing a project contingency of $94,500. Item number 12 is to consider a resolution awarding a construction contract to ASG Builders for the 2022 pavement maintenance project in the amount of $437,408 and establishing a project contingency of $40,000. This is also an increase in the project budget by $63,000 to a total of $563,000 to provide inspection services. Item number 13 is to consider approval of the street closure and lot closures for the Millbrae Art and Wine Festival, scheduled for September 3rd through the 4th of 2022 of this year. Item number 14 is to consider adoption of a resolution amending the conflict of interest codes. This relates to our Form 700s. Public hearing this evening. There was an appeal of a planning commission decision to approve a design review permit and conditionally a use permit and a vested tentative map for a condominium project located at 959 El Camino. This evening at 5:10 p.m., the city did receive withdraw of this appeal from the appellant. And so we will be removing this item from the agenda this evening, and this will not be heard at the request of the appellant that has withdrawn the appeal. Item number 16, the second public hearing item, is to consider adoption of the proposed updates to the City of Millbrae service and fee schedule for the building division. Then we move to existing business. Item 17 under existing business is to waive the second reading and enact an ordinance amending the Municipal Code, Chapter 3.30, Uniform Transit Occupancy Tax, also known as TOT, increasing the transit occupancy tax rate from 12% to 14%. Then we move to item number 18. That's to adopt a resolution to submit a measure to the voters at the general election on November 8th, 2022, to increase the city's transit occupancy tax by 2% from 12% to 14%. Item number 19 is to consider appointments to city commissions and committees. The first two are the Community Enhancement Advisory Committee and Senior Advisory Committee. Oh, there's three, and Sister City Commission. That would be one action. And then the second action is the Youth Advisory Committee appointments. Councilmember Fung has a conflict of interest on item number 2 and will need to recuse himself. Under new business, item 20, consideration of erecting a Pan American Flight 7 memorial in the city of Millbrae. And item number 21 is a COVID-19 update and preparation for in-person city council meetings with a hybrid option. Then we move to council comments and adjournment. Mayor, real quick, I know that was, I said it was brief, but it's a very lengthy agenda. Real quick, a couple of great things that are happening in the city. To expand our communication efforts, we did launch our first bi-weekly electronic newsletter. Each issue features a range of essential topics, including events, city services, programs, highlighting projects, and providing helpful tips and news. So don't miss out. You can log on our website and sign up through our e-notification system for our new bi-weekly e-newsletter. Also, the city of Millbrae has adopted innovative Simplicity app to connect with residents. So the Simplicity mobile app is used by the city as an official channel for city to resident communication. Through the Simplicity app, residents will get all the information they need, aggregated and easily accessible on their smartphones in real time. The app is free and available on for iOS and Android. And then each resident has the option to adjust notification preferences when they're on the app based on their personal interest. So residents can download the Simplicity mobile app at the Apple Store or through Google Play or directly at a link here at the city of Millbrae, which is simplicity.app.link/Millbrae. Again, simplicity.app.link/Millbrae. Also, the multi-jurisdictional bike sharing program with the city of Millbrae. The city of Millbrae, we were awarded the full funding from San Mateo County Transportation Authority from Measure A, the alternative congestion relief from Measure W, and Transportation Demand Management Program funding. So the maximum project award is $200,000 with a 10% city match. This is a joint effort between the city of Millbrae and Burlingame for the bike share program. And then we also have Millbrae's first district elections coming up on November 8th, 2022. The city of Millbrae was required to transition to district-based election in accordance with state law. As a result, 5 new districts were created. The change requires any candidate to reside in the specific district for which they seek council office for at least 30 days before the filing of the nomination papers. The candidate nomination period is currently open, and it ends on August 12th at 5 p.m. The city clerk's office is available for appointments and walk-ins for District 2 and District 4 candidates to pull papers. We did send out postcards specifically to all addresses in District 2 and District 4, but please contact our city clerk or look at our website if you're interested in either of those districts. Also, Mayor, I don't know if you'd like to make this announcement or if the Vice Mayor would, because the most exciting news that's happening in the city of Millbrae is our U12 girls softball team.
Gina, go ahead, because you're the one who insisted upon. I was gonna put it on there, but then Gina was like so excited, and of course we're all excited. But Gina, go ahead and do that presentation if you'd like.
We are just thrilled. Our local Mischief softball team went down to the state finals in San Diego. It was a surprise to get down there. They went down there and they won the West Coast Regional Finals. Yeah. And
Is it Mischief or Mischief?
Mischief. I'm messing it up here.
No, I
But
think we need somebody to help us.
it was in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Which was great. We are very, very excited for them. And they had, quickly had to get some local support to just even get down there. All the parents, all the kids, we are just thrilled. And
one of their superstars got injured, and they thought that they weren't gonna make it through letting her back into the game, and she came through like 100%. See, guys, you're only as good as your worst player, right? And that player injured came up ahead. Right on, girl.
Absolutely. Then our girls softball league here is just amazing. So congratulations, everybody. We are very excited for y'all.
And coach, congratulations to him too.
Yeah,
there's a lot of dedication. Yeah, a lot of dedication to all those parents that get out there in the windy city and play ball in the dirt. So congratulations.
All right, state champions, it's terrific. Just 3 more items quickly. Events that are happening in the city of Millbrae in August. Millbrae Goes to the Movies. That is August 12th. So that is a Friday, August 12th at Central Park. This month's showing is Cruella. So bring your blankets and chairs, grab a spot, and join the movie fun. Everything starts at 6 p.m. There's activities and events for kids. There's also food trucks, and the movie will start at around 8:15 when it's dark. Also, we have Beats, Brews, and Vines, which is our downtown summer concert series. That's Thursday, August 18th. So everyone join us for our summer concert series. It's a ton of fun. We close off the 300 block of Broadway starting at 6 p.m. It runs 6 to 8. Come support our local restaurants. There's food booths. And registration is not required, and it's free, and great to see everybody there. And then also we have our Citizens Academy that was postponed from earlier in the spring, now scheduled for the fall. It begins September 22nd. So the city will be hosting our Citizens Academy, and there's information at the following website, bit.ly/Millbrae Citizens Academy. If you just type in Millbrae Citizens Academy on your search engine, that will pop up. So again, Millbrae Citizens Academy, please sign up. It's going to be fantastic with all the departments providing information. So Mayor, that concludes the update.
Okay, do we need to report out?
Sorry, we have a couple more real quick ones. Please check the city calendar for additional special events. We have an event on August 11th and August 13th. We're trying to get together a self-defense class at the rec center. And we have a new city newsletter that everyone should sign up for, take a look at, and really keep you informed. Instead of next door, you can actually get accurate information via the city newsletter. So hopefully that'll catch on quickly. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Schneider, is your hand up?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to add on to what City Manager said about the night of Cruella at Millbrae Goes to the Movies, that is also our August plant sale to benefit the community garden. And I believe the Leos will be having a fundraiser, Build Your Own Birdhouse. So please come to the movies and build a birdhouse and buy a plant.
Busy. We're back in business, guys. All right. I want to know, do we need to report out from closed session?
Yes, actually, Madam Mayor, you've been very busy as a council, meeting on several matters in closed session, and I would like to report out on all of them for the month of July.
Thank you.
So on July 12th, there were 2 closed sessions, both matters of anticipated litigation, in which the council met in closed session and no action was taken. And prior to the meeting today, there was another special meeting called to enable the council to meet in closed session on 3 different matters. One was matter of anticipated litigation. Another was a matter of existing litigation, existing claims, and having to do with the flooding incident that occurred last December. And the third matter was concerning labor negotiations. My understanding is that the council has taken no formal action to report out in any of these closed sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I'm going to go to approval of minutes. We have special meeting minutes of June 28, 2022, and special meeting minutes of July 12, 2022. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second, please?
Second.
And a vote.
Councilmember Snyder,
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver,
Aye.
Councilmember Fung,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes,
Mayor Oliva.
Yes.
The 2 set of special meeting minutes passed by the vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move to public communication, and this is for any persons wishing to comment on any item that is not appearing on the agenda. Can I see a show of hands? And we will go with 3 minutes. We'll go first with Sean Reese.
Good evening, Mayor Oliva and City Council. My name is Sean Reese. I'm a field representative from the NorCal Carpenters Union at Local 405, and I have some questions regarding the proposed project at 959 El Camino Real. First of all, will you be enforcing area standard labor on the project using apprenticeship, healthcare, local hire, and a livable wage? Area standard labor needs to be the template that developers use in the great city of Millbrae. I would like to express to you that without these standards, the construction force is systematically abused through wage theft. 1099, where workers have no workers' comp when injured on the job, and a litany of safety violations. The language that should become the policy here in Millbrae, and specifically on this El Camino Real project, would support responsible contractors that are already doing the right thing by their clients, employees, and the city itself. These responsible contractors have proven time after time that they can perform to the highest standards. This policy would bolster Millbrae's working class and cultivate a responsible market for good contractors. This would be the creation of a floor, a minimum standard set for developers that are coming into Millbrae, telling them you value your citizens that build on our land. I would very much like to have a real and valuable conversation with each and every one of you, as well as a developer, on how we can cultivate a prosperous construction industry. The NorCal Carpenters have over 1,600 members in the San Mateo County alone, and each and every one of them can be a great asset to this project and any future projects you plan. So before I go, I'd like to leave you with a question. How can you, as elected officials, better support and guard the working men and women on this project and in the beautiful city of Millbrae? Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And you do realize that at this time we cannot answer any questions, but I'm sure that somebody on staff will get back to you. Next up, we have Lindsay. Lindsay?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. Yes, I'm Lindsay Reich. I'm the CEO of Warm Water Wellness. And first of all, I wanted to thank you so much for the resolution that you passed supporting the Mickelson Therapy Pool. We are so very appreciative. And Vice Mayor Pappen, I cannot thank you enough for coming to our rally on Sunday. And you were just so awesome when you spoke. The crowd was all fired up, and I have a great recording of it if you're interested in having a copy. So I'm here tonight to thank you and also to make a request. This would be a very opportune time, given the momentum that we have in our cause right now, to send a letter a cover letter with your resolution to the CEO, the corporate CEO of Sutter, James Conforti. We sent you an email a few weeks ago, I think, and it had a sample letter from the city mayor of Burlingame, and I'm happy to resend it if you'd like. So we, at this point, we have 8 resolutions. 8 cities have 8 city councils have passed resolutions, and we have 3 more coming up. So we're really in good shape right now, and we're trying to get a steady stream of letters going to corporate. And actually, I just got an email today from Joe Cachette, our attorney, and he's sending a letter as well. So I feel like if we can just get everyone who's passed a resolution to send letters, I believe that of the 8 that have been passed, I think 5 of those cities have written cover letters. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head. Anyway, so if you could do that as well, we have a very specific list of CCs that we would like for you to include. And again, I'm happy to email with you and communicate with you about that. The main thing that we want the letter to include is to encourage Sutter to take advantage of the Peninsula Healthcare District's generous offer to pay for all necessary remodeling costs, repairs, and operational costs. That's like the #1 thing we would like to have included in the letter. So yeah, so if you could do that, we would be very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lindsay. I'm not sure where that letter went, but if you could resend that, that would
Happy
be-
to resend it. Yeah,
And
thank you so much. I'll send that off to you tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you. Was it to me?
I believe Jane, I was copied on it. I asked her secretary to send it. Do you want me to send it directly to you?
Actually, it probably would be best to Elaine Tran, our city clerk.
1 second. Let me just
email,
please.
She can go ahead, Elaine.
It is etran, ETRAN @ci.millbrae.ca.us.
I'm sorry, it's like not the best connection. You know what, I'll find it online. And let me just write down your name, Elaine Tran. Okay, great. I'll send it to you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I do not see any other hands raised. Am I wrong? I'm right. Okay, we're going to go to the consent calendar. There's 10 items here, so bear with me. Item number 5, the adoption of the resolution finding that the proclaimed state of emergency continues to impact the ability to meet safely in person, and declaring that the city council and city commissions and committees will continue to meet remotely in order to ensure the health and safety in the public. Number 6, receive and file monthly general fund financial report for the period ending June 30th, 2022. Item number 7, council consideration to recess for the month of August 2022. Item number 8, a resolution authorizing the collection of fiscal year 2022-2023 stormwater fees on the San Mateo County tax roll. Item number 9, resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an amendment in the agreement amount of $7,905.20 with the Positive Electric for the lighting installation services for the fitness court and the skate park renovation project, increasing the agreements not to exceed for the amount of services to $67,905.19. Item number 10, a resolution authorizing the city manager to issue purchase orders to suppliers selected by the Bay Area Chemical Consortium up to a total of $136,000 to purchase ferric chloride and sodium hypochlorite disinfectant chemicals for the water pollution control plant. Item number 11, a resolution awarding the construction contract to B. Bartolotto and Company, Inc. for the 2022 pavement rehabilitation project in the amount of $627,522 and establishing a project contingency of $94,500. Item number 12, a resolution awarding a construction contract to ASG Builders for the 2022 pavement maintenance project in the amount of $437,408, establishing a project contingency of $40,000 and increasing the project budget by $63,000 to $563,000 to provide inspection services. Item number 13, approval of street closures for the lot street closures and lot closures for the Millbrae Art and Wine Festival on September 3rd and 4th, 2022. And number 14, adopt a resolution amending the Conflict of Interest Code. Council, do we have a motion?
Move approval.
I'll second it.
Okay, may we please have a vote?
Through the mayor,
Yes.
just one comment. Item number 12 is a slurry sealing of a number of streets in Millbrae, including the street that I live on. And it doesn't preclude me from voting on this because it's a community benefit, but I just want that for public record.
Very good.
That is correct.
Can we please have a vote?
Certainly, Mayor. Councilmember Snyder,
Yes,
Councilmember Oliver,
Aye.
Councilmember Fung,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva.
Yes.
The consent calendar is passed by the vote of 5-0.
Good job, council. All right, we actually tonight will not have a public hearing. And we'll move on to existing business.
No, Mayor, I'm sorry, we do have
excuse
one
me,
public
this-
hearing, it's item number 16.
Yeah, excuse
two
me, I'm
public-
so sorry. Public hearing. Well, I'll first open the public.
And I'm sorry, before we move on, from item 15, would you mind, Madam Mayor, just asking if there is anyone who had an objection who came to the meeting to
To
speak
comment?
to item 15?
Awesome. So
And I don't suspect there will be, but for due process reasons, I would just like to be sure that we've offered the opportunity.
do I open up the public hearing first?
No, I don't think you need to open it up. Let's see if anyone raises their hand. I'm thinking that most likely we will not need to open up the public hearing.
Okay, so item number 15 is the appeal, that was an appeal of a planning commission decision to approve a design review permit and a conditional use permit and a vesting tentative parcel map for the condominium purposes on the property at 959 El Camino Real. Is there anybody that is on this call that would like to speak on that from the public? I do
I
not.
believe the former Mayor Marge Cleve-Petro said she wanted to speak on this item. I'm not sure since it was moved. If she's
Let's see, I don't see Marge on here.
Okay, that's good. That's all I wanted to be sure that we had extended that opportunity.
Okay, so then do I open up the public hearing now?
No, I would not. I mean,
Oh, For item
I-
number 16.
yes, let's move on to 16. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, open up the public hearing and for item number 16, which is a public hearing on the adoption of proposed updates to the City of Millbrae service and fee schedule for building divisions fee. And who is doing the report on this?
Thank you,
Mike?
Mayor. I would like to
Yeah.
introduce Mr. Mike Sung, the city's finance director. So Mike.
Thank
take
you,
it
Mike.
Thank you, City Manager Williams. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. Today, we'll be talking about our public hearing on the adoption of the proposed updates to the City of Millbrae's service and fee schedule for building division fees. And joining me will be our Community Development Director, Darcy Smith, and our consultant, Courtney Ramos from Matrix Consulting Group. So tonight's requested action is to hold a public hearing to receive input regarding the adoption of proposed updates to the City of Millbrae service and fee schedule for the building division fees. And at the conclusion of the public hearing, consider adopting a resolution approving the updates to the City of Millbrae service and fee schedule for building division fees as of the effective date for each fee stated in the schedule attached to the resolution or as soon as practical thereafter. Just a little background on what this is. The city had commissioned Matrix Consulting Groups to prepare a study to analyze the relationships for fees for community development and for recreation. Within community development, it was planning and building that we were looking at. Now, we not only do this periodically because it's not just best practice, but this actually also aligns with our city's strategic initiative to improve our fiscal sustainability as well. This current update is just concentrated and focused on the building division services. And this actually reflects the city's new business processes and staff time estimates as well. So an update for the planning and the recreation fees will be brought back to the council at a later date. This study has been prepared by Matrix, and it's a tool to understand what our current service levels are, as well as demands for those service and identifying the fees. This study will provide a framework for financial, legal, and policy issues associated with establishing fees for service. And the city has the authority to charge user fees for many of its services. These user fees are limited to the city's reasonable cost of providing the service or benefit. With that, I'm going to pass this over to Courtney Ramos from Matrix.
Thanks so much, Mike. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is Courtney Ramos, and I'm a vice president with Matrix Consulting Group, and I'm here tonight to provide an overview of the building cost of service study, primarily focusing on building inspection and plan review services. So as part of our study, we utilized a cost allocation methodology that's commonly known as a bottom-up approach to establishing user fees. What this does is it takes a look at each unit of service, the time associated with that, the cost associated with that, and building up. So starting from the bottom and figuring out what that cost is, as opposed to a top-down approach, which would look holistically at the department and spread all of their costs to the different fee categories. Different components were calculated for each fee or service, and they're then built upon each other, as I said, to provide for a total cost, which includes both direct salaries and benefits, as well as indirect costs, such as operational and supervisory overhead. This study ensures that the city is meeting its legal requirements and guidelines for charging users for service in accordance with Prop 218 and 26. Next slide. So this study does not recommend specific fees, but rather it provides an estimated total cost for each fee or service. It provides a fair and equitable basis for determining the cost of providing those services and assures that the city can comply with state law if implemented. So when we talk about the general methodology that we used, the general steps that we took in our approach was to first start by calculating fully burdened hourly rates by position, including direct and indirect costs. So taking into account, like I said, salary and benefits, but also available hours. You don't have 2,080 hours to work. So taking a look at factoring in leave and vacation accruals, holidays, vacation, and so forth. Then we developed time estimates, looking at the average time spent to deliver each service included in the study, and distributing the appropriate amount of other cost components to each fee or service based on those staff time allocations or other reasonable bases. So essentially taking a look at, like I said, operational costs, supervisory, administrative support, general citywide overhead. So this results in allocations giving a detailed documentation for the reasonable determination of the actual cost of providing each service, again, making sure that we comply with the legal requirements outlined in Prop 218 and 26. So for those who prefer less words and more pictures, just a quick kind of graphic of how we get to the total cost of service. We have those direct costs, salary, benefits, specific services and supplies. So if we had any specific noticing costs that were specific to a particular application or permit, those would be specifically attributed to that particular application permit. That would be a direct cost. Those indirect costs, departmental administration, things like supervisors, directors, admin assistants, services and supplies, vehicle costs, and then citywide overhead, things associated with finance support, HR support of those staff. Gives us our indirect costs, direct plus indirect gives us our total costs. Next slide. So the other major component here is time estimates. And these estimates are representative of average times for providing services. So extremely difficult or abnormally simple projects, they're not factored into the analysis. What we want to do is take a look at, on average, how long should it take? And factoring in what is most common in the city of Millbury. What are we seeing coming across the counter? For those types of permits, how much time on average are we spending? We're also looking at time on task. So while the cycle time for a permit to go from submission to approval might be 30 days, your actual time on task in working on that permit and reviewing it and inspecting it and approving it might only total something like 8 hours within that 30-day period. So really only looking at that time on task. The estimates are reflective of the time associated with the position or positions that typically perform a service. We don't peg all time estimates at the senior inspector or at the junior inspector level. We look at most commonly what is the position title that would perform that function or that duty, and pegging those time estimates there. These estimates that are provided by staff are reviewed and approved by both the division and the department. And they're involved multiple iterations of going back and forth and making sure that everybody was comfortable with those estimates, that we felt that they actually reflected the amount of time that it takes to provide those services. And then also, us as the project team, as the outside consultant, we also reviewed those time estimates for reasonableness against our experience with other local agencies within the Bay Area, as well as nationally, to make sure that estimates that were provided, again, were reasonable. And if for any reason, if they were higher or lower than what we typically see, to make sure that there was a valid reason for that, particular code anomalies that are different than other jurisdictions and so forth. Again, just to make sure that everybody is comfortable with those time estimates that were provided. Next slide. So in looking at the fee schedule, there were only a couple updates that staff wanted to make to that fee schedule. And that was in adding 2 fees. The first was a voluntary residential seismic retrofit. So this fee was added to account for plan review and inspection that's associated with these voluntary residential seismic retrofit plans, using a prescriptive plan. So something that is kind of more boilerplated, more templated. So adding a fee for that, as well as for bathroom remodels, each additional. So this was added to account for additional bathrooms that are remodeled simultaneously. So if you're going to remodel both of your bathrooms in your house at the same time, we want to make sure that we account for the fact that the inspector is only going to go out once per trip and look at both bathrooms, as opposed to currently what would happen is you would get charged 2 separate fees. And so there was a little bit of double counting of time with that. So by adding this each additional fee, what we're able to do is make sure that we aren't double counting for that travel time and that extra inspection time associated with the inspector. So these fees are going to help the building division better capture the plan review and inspection services. So when we get to the total cost estimate, the total cost calculated for each service, like I said, includes direct staff costs as well as divisional and citywide overhead. There is a table in the study that details the fee name, the FY 22-23 current fee, the total cost, full cost calculated through the study, as well as the difference. So you can see line by line what's currently being charged, what this study calculated the full cost to be, and then the associated difference. There are some fees where the total cost calculated are lower, and some where the total cost calculated are higher. The majority of those are in relation to valuation-based permits, which I believe we have on the next slides. So while there are a lot of line items, we did want to kind of throw out some of those. So this particular table here shows the valuation table for single-family dwellings, ADUs, and accessory buildings only. And so you can see where in these higher categories, you'll see a reduction in the fee because the difference is a positive number, so it's outside of the parentheses. Those reductions are due to obviously changes in staff time estimates relating to process efficiencies, as well as staff changes and turnovers. And then you'll see that in those higher valuations, including in the 5 million, the 1 million, that those will increase given the time that it takes to spend on those particular items. And then the last table that we have shows for commercial, industrial, multifamily residential, as well as signs. And so similarly to the previous table, you'll notice that those lower valuation categories will be reduced, accounting for process efficiencies in those lower dollar values, and then increased costs in those higher valuations, including expansion of those categories to include 50 million, 100 million, and greater than 100 million.
Thank you, Courtney. So in conclusion, the staff recommendation on fees is the staff recommends updating the city's current service and fee schedule for building division fees to reflect the current costs and the business processes for building permits. The city's objective is to continue to maintain our full cost recovery for these services. Staff's proposed amendments to the City of Millbrae service and fee schedule are set forth in full as an attachment to the staff report. So staff recommendations for action tonight. One, we are holding a public hearing to receive input regarding the adoption of the proposed rates to the City of Millbrae service and fee schedule for building division fees. And at the conclusion of the public hearing, consider adopting a resolution approving the updates to the City of Millbrae service and fee schedule building division fees effective September 24th, 2022. And with that, we are available for questions.
Councilmember Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm really glad. Thank you for the presentation and the write-up. And it looks to me like generally things are getting a little bit less expensive. A few things are going up. However, I have a question about the bathroom remodel. Some of us still have a second bathroom with a really old, not low flow toilet. And I'm getting ready for a bathroom remodel. So if I'm getting a permit for my full bathroom, don't I have to replace the other toilet at the same time? And that might be a Darcy question, because I'm planning on doing it and doing it at the same time. And when this report came, it's like, oh yeah, a second permit.
Hi, yeah, Darcy Smith, Community Development Director, City of Millbrae. I don't have an answer to the main question, which is, would the building code require you to replace the second toilet? Feel free to call the building division tomorrow.
Okay.
I can answer that question for you. But as Ms. Ramos said, the reason why we have some changes to the fees is, again, we like to true it up with our current situation and what we found. And we also want to respond to questions we have from our customers and the public. And so one of the questions that was posed was, why do I have to pay an additional fee if I'm remodeling a second bathroom, or sometimes even 3 bathrooms at the same time, and the inspector's coming out making one trip? So that's the change that we're making, is to simplify the fees if someone's remodeling 2 or a 3rd bathroom, and the inspector's combining the trips. But if
I think it's fantastic.
We can discuss that when you call us and talk about it.
I'm waiting for the water board to give us discounts for those really old toilets, which they got rid of because they assumed everybody had already done it. My toilet is from 1988. It needs to go away. Thank you all. Great report.
Mayor, we do have Kayvon Aranajad, who's the chief building official for the city, that may be able to answer that building code question.
I can wait till tomorrow, Tom. It was just when I was reading the report. It's a good idea. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Is that a motion, Councilmember Schneider?
We haven't had public comment yet, Mayor.
Yes,
but I'd be happy to when you're ready.
Okay.
I guess when questions from council are complete, Madam Mayor, let's open up the public hearing.
Oh, I thought I opened it. I'm sorry.
Oh, did you? Okay, good.
Yeah, I said public comment. I don't see any
okay.
hands, but public comment just in case.
I don't see any hands from the public,
I don't think the public hearing was.
or
I don't think I remembered it, but maybe Elaine remembers.
She did when she
Perfect.
she transitioned to 15.
Too quick.
Okay, so we have no questions, no public questions, no council questions. We have a motion from Councilmember Schneider.
Madam Mayor, if I may?
Oh, please.
Yeah, just have a clarification.
Sorry, Anders, how do I not see your hand go up?
Oh, no, I did not. My apologies.
Oh, okay, good. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, Darcy, perhaps you can help the public answer this. Just to clarify for the public, I see that in the resolution that the fee schedule will be adopted on November 9. Oh wait. Well, what is the effective day of that of these changes on these
September
fees?
26th,
September.
I think.
September 24th.
September 24th. There you go. It's on the slide. Perhaps we can explain to the public as to how it would affect those permit that is currently under review, and how that effective date comes to affect those who are in the pipeline.
Yeah, happy to answer that and inform the community. So new fees, user fees are are unique under state law and that they are given 60 days to go into effect. So in case anyone's scratching their head, what's the magic around September 24th? It's in the government code and they go into effect 60 days after adoption. And that's a lead time that helps us get the word out. So we'll be posting these on our building division website and informing the public. Important to note for the community, some fees are actually going down, especially for the lower valuation projects, the simple bathroom remodels. And some fees are going up. And we've been in communication with some of our larger developers around the changes on that level. But the fees that you see in the staff report are applied in effect the time of payment of any permit fees. So important to note that is that it's actually the fees that are in effect at the time of payment. And so we will certainly work with our customers to get the word out. And as I said, some may actually raise their hand and say, hey, can I pull my permit? I think the 24th is actually a Saturday. But can I pull my permit and wait until the new fees go into effect? And then some folks may actually work with us and want to get their permit issued on Friday, September 23rd. And we'll work to accommodate both of those interests. But it's important to note that it's the time the payment is made. And that, I just want to say that goes across the board for all of the city fees. It's when you pay it. And we have 60 days, which I think is a good amount of time to, as I said, educate the community on these fees.
Excellent. Thank you, Darcy. And without anybody else commenting, I'll be happy to second it.
Should we close the public hearing? Madam Mayor, before you take a vote?
Can we close the public hearing? Yes. And
Yes.
we have a motion and a second. So can we please get the vote?
Of course.
Thank you.
Councilmember Snyder,
Yes.
Councilmember Holliver,
Aye.
Councilmember Fung.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva.
Yes.
Public hearing item number 16 passed by the vote of 5-0.
Thank you. We're going to move on to existing business, and that would be item number 17. Item number 17 is to waive the second reading and enact an ordinance amending the Municipal Code Chapter 3.30 Uniform Transient Occupancy Tax, increasing the Transient Occupancy Tax or TOT rate from 12% to 14%.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce again Mr. Mike Sung, the city's finance director, for a presentation. And I think, Mayor, just point of order here. I think, Mike, and I'll look to our city attorney about opening up items 17 and 18 at the same time. They're kind of combined items. The second reading of the ordinance must be completed first, and then the resolution. So, Mike. Mike, take it away.
Oh, sorry. There's a little lag there. Thank you, City Manager Williams. Good evening again, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. So today we'll be talking about the Transient Occupancy Tax. Two items here, waiving the second reading of the ordinance, as well as adopting a ballot measure, a resolution to adopt a ballot measure. So just a little background, back in July, on the first meeting on July 12th, we had the first reading of the proposed TOT ordinance. And what we're looking at here is just two changes over here, moving from 12 to 14% in the ordinance, and also changing the commencement from January 1, 2010 to January 1st, 2023. So those are the two changes there, just a kind of a background and a reminder on the ordinance in itself. With that, I'm going to actually talk about the background. The Millbrae's TOT tax, as I mentioned, was last updated in 2010, January 1st of 2010, and it was updated from 10 to 12%. Since that time, we've had a lot of additional needs that impact the city and the residents, as well as the businesses. So we've had an increased need for police patrols, as well as repairs for city streets. Also, during that time period in the last 12 years, most of our neighboring cities have increased their TOT, their transient occupancy tax, up to 14%. And that's actually the prevalent range or the rate that is for the surrounding cities. Also, we currently have a $2 million structural deficit in fiscal year 22-23 in the general fund. And the city is still in need for additional funding to help maintain and enhance the critical services that our residents and our businesses rely on. A 2% increase in the city's existing TOT rate from 12 to 14% would generate approximately 1.5 million in additional revenue, and that's based off of the pre-pandemic revenue amounts. So here's the proposed ballot measure language in full. It's to continue funding for the city of Millbrae only that cannot be taken by Sacramento for general city services such as repairing potholes, streets, maintaining neighborhood downtown police patrols, improving recreation programs and parks, attracting new businesses, and enhancing disaster response. Shall a measure increasing by 2% the city of Millbrae's existing transient occupancy tax charged to hotel and local guests until ended by voters, providing an additional 1.5 million annually with citizens oversight, independent audits be adopted. So just a review of the timeline. Back in February, we had done an RFP and contracted out with Godby Research. They had conducted a community survey for us. As a result of the survey, we had gathered the information and data shared with the Finance and Budget Subcommittee in May. They had recommended that we draft something for the council. At the end of June, council directed staff to come back with an ordinance and ballot measure language and to engage with stakeholders, which would be the community as well as the hotel operators. At the last council meeting on July 12th, we did the first reading of the proposed ordinance. Today's July 26th. We're doing the second reading of the proposed ordinance and an adoption of the resolution to approve the placement of the TOT increase measure on the November 8th, 2022 ballot. Just another note, on August 12th, that's actually our deadline for submissions of the resolution to San Mateo County, and we intend to get that in well before that. And another important date is January 1st, 2023. The ordinance would go into effect if the ballot measure is approved by voters on November 8th, 2022, and it is a general tax. So that's basically a simple majority. It's 50% plus 1. So a little note on the city engagement. The city has met with multiple hotel operators as well as community stakeholders. Most of the feedback that we've gotten from the community and the hotel operators really center around the following themes. And all these themes are basically aligned with the input we've actually received from the community survey. A lot of it has to do with safety concerns, including addressing the increasing frequency of crimes committed by transients from the BART station and increased patrol presence in the downtown and nearby hotels, as well as increased mental health response to homelessness as well. So what we have here are the two recommendations for items 17 and 18. One is to waive the second reading beyond the title and enact the ordinance. And the second is to adopt a resolution to submit to the qualified Millbrae voters a measure relating to increasing the TOT by 2%, requesting the county clerk to include this measure in the general municipal election on November 8, 2022. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Council questions? Public questions? Okay, well, we need to first waive the second reading and enact the ordinance. And so I need a motion and a second for that first.
Well,
I'll second the motion for the second reading.
Elaine, can we please have the vote for waiving the second reading beyond the title and enact the ordinance?
Of course. Councilmember Snyder,
Aye.
Councilmember Holliber, Councilmember Holliber,
We'll come back.
okay. Councilmember Fung,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
yes.
Mayor Oliva,
Yes.
All right. The city council waived the second reading and enact the ordinance amending municipal code chapter 3.30 uniform transient occupancy tax, increasing the transient occupancy tax rate from 12% to 14%, passed by a vote of 4-0 and 1, with Councilmember Oliver abstaining.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Aye.
Okay,
There you go.
passed by the vote of 5.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, and then secondly, we'll go to adopt a resolution to submit the qualified Millbrae voters a measure relating to the increasing TOT by requesting the county clerk to include this measure in a general municipal election on November 8th, 2022.
And Mayor, for the record, this is item 18 on the agenda.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Who's the second? I'm sorry, I heard 2 voices.
I think it was Councilmember Schneider.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Snyder,
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver,
Aye.
Councilmember Fung,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva.
Yes.
All right. The resolution to submit a measure to the voters at the general election in November 8th, 2020 to increase the city transient occupancy tax by 2% from 12% to 14%, passed by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move on to item number 19 on our agenda. And this is to consider appointments to the city commissions and committees. And we're going to take this we're going to break this up into 2 separate parts. First, the Community Enhancement Advisory Committee, the Senior Advisory Committee, and the Sister City Commission. Then we'll move on for a second vote for the Youth Advisory Committee. So do we have a report on this, please?
Mayor, our city clerk, Ms. Elaine Tran, will be providing a staff report.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. This is for consideration for commission committee appointments. Oops, sorry. The city has 3 commissions and 5 advisory committees. All members are volunteers. Membership and term and requirements are dependent on action. For our commissions is adopted by ordinance, and for committees is adopted by resolution. The City Council Commission and Committee Interview Subcommittee are tasked with interviewing interested applicants and provide recommendations to the full City Council. The subcommittee has provided 2 recommendations for the City Council's consideration. For Community Enhancement Advisory Committee, there are 2 new applicants, Minhua Cheng and Santana Theo B. Watt. And for the Senior Advisory Committee, the subcommittee is recommending reappointments for Rachel Mullins, Marlene McBride, Mary Ellen Pellegrini, and Mimi Lee. Sister Cities Commission, the appointment is for Mary Borg Smith. And this is the first recommendation. The second recommendation is for the Youth Advisory Committee. Frederick Plankensteiner, Mandu Resusati, and also Tanya Young are seeking reappointment, and it's recommended that they are reappointed. New members is Serene Cheng, Madison Douglas, Adrian Fung, and the alternate is recommended to be Kiyomi St. John. If the City Council if these appointments are approved by City Council, the Economic Vitality, Parks and Recreations Commission, Planning Commission, Senior Advisory Committee, and Sister Cities Commission will have full membership. There are openings for 3 committees. One of them will be Community Enhancement Advisory Committee with 1 member, Cultural Arts Advisory Committee with 1 member and 1 alternate member. Youth Advisory Committee, we will have 1 regular member for the middle school. It should be noted that the commission applications are accepted year-round and will be kept on file for 1 year from the date received by the city. So if there's anyone that's interested in these open positions, please contact the city's clerk's office. And that is my report.
Thank you. Any questions, Council? Councilmember Pappen, Vice Mayor Pappen, sorry.
Yeah, really. Just kidding. No, I just wanted to thank everyone, especially with the Youth Advisory Committee. We had many, many applicants. It was very exciting to meet everybody and want to thank everybody for applying. And please encourage everyone to stay involved. It was a very difficult decision for Councilmember Schneider and I. So thank you, everyone. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you both for your work. Councilmember Holliver.
Thank you. I had a question about the recommendation for the Youth Advisory Committee. So it looks like the recommendation is to appoint 6 members and 1 alternate. My understanding is that there are 7 positions on the committee plus 1 alternate.
Yeah, we still need one from a middle school.
Okay.
We have 1 opening there, unless Nolan was in the background and wanted to apply. I heard a noise.
It's not quite ready yet, but I wouldn't wish that upon him. I think in the past, when we didn't have enough middle school applicants, if I recall correctly, we have filled the final seat with somebody who's a high school student. So that's something we could consider doing, appointing Kiyomi as a full-time member instead of continuing to try to recruit.
We really wanted to try, since we do have 1 middle school applicant, to try to get another one just to balance it out.
Okay. Well, maybe if, a few months pass by and there's no new applicants, we could consider appointing that person as a full-time member.
Mayor, if I may, Councilman Holliber, we actually discovered through the process for a number of our committees now have alternates, that if there's a space, they actually have to apply for the space according to our existing protocol. We can't just move them in. And I think the city manager in September is going to come back to all of us saying that now that we're at district elections, we've got to fix some other protocols. So I think coming in the fall, we'll see some ways that we might be able to do exactly what you suggested on that. But our new middle school person, should she get appointed tonight, Madison Douglas, is very involved at Taylor, and we sent her on a mission to go out and try to find some more middle school applicants or to reach out to St. Dunstan's too. They do have, having been through this set of interviews, and they're all lovely and they're all excited and they all had great ideas, but the younger ones bring in a whole different perspective. And I think that's why Vice Mayor Pappen and I thought we'd hold out a little bit longer to get that middle school slot. But I will tell you, Kiyomi St. John applied last year, but we never filled those middle school plots. But sadly, she graduated from Taylor and is now at Mills.
Okay, well, that's fine. And, who knows, maybe next year, one of the high schoolers may move on and there could be another spot open up. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Fong.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say and thank all the applicants who reapply and those who apply for the new appointments. It was exciting, and it's also nice to have an opportunity to meet everyone. I will say that with the Senior Advisory Committee, we had some great discussions about how we can help the seniors with more mobility assistance, some fundraising perhaps to help help the seniors to get around the city a little bit better, to and from the rec centers and the charcuterie rooms and all the activities that they attended. So, all in all, it's a great opportunity to discuss some of the things that we could do more to help everyone within our city. So with your permission, Madam Mayor, without any other discussion, if there isn't any, I'd like to move to approve the first action with the appointment of Community Enhancement Advisory, Senior Advisory, and Sister City Commission.
I would second that.
Perfect. And any other comments, public? Then we will call for the vote.
I'm not sure if I'm muted, but Councilmember Snyder,
Aye.
Councilmember Holliver,
Aye.
Councilmember Fung,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva.
Yes.
All right. The recommendation to Community Enhancement Senior Advisory Committee and Sister Cities Commission passed by the vote of 5-0 as recommended.
Perfect. Can we move on to the Youth Advisory Committee? Somebody would like to make a motion on that?
And Madam Mayor, I'd like to recuse myself as one of my family members in the candidate pool.
Fair enough.
So moved.
And I will second that. And I do want to say, one of these young people had an idea that I absolutely adore. And she had done a project at the Millbrae Library with teenagers tutoring seniors on their technology. And I hope, given somebody with a smartphone, I really could use a little teenager help to help me learn how to use my smartphone better. So I hope that this young person will bring that through the YAC. The YAC get to choose their own projects. But given the proximity of the new teen center and the senior center above, I think we can have some beautiful mutual benefit programs between our young people and our seniors on that.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Comments from the public? And let's call for the vote.
Councilmember Snyder,
Aye.
Councilmember Holliver,
Aye.
Councilmember Fung recused, Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva.
Yes.
The council passed the recommendation for the Youth Advisory Committee by a vote of 4-0 to 1 with Councilmember Fung recused.
Thank you, council. We're going to move on to new business. We have 2 items under new business. First one, item 20, considering erecting a Flight 7 memorial in the city of Millbrae. And I'm sure we have a report on this.
Mayor, we do. Eduardo Gonzalez from my office will be providing a brief presentation. We also have a gentleman by the name of Ken Fortenberry, who's in the audience. His father was a pilot, second officer on Flight 7 that day. And I believe Mr. Fortenberry will also like to say a few comments once the staff presentation is completed.
I was hoping he would be here.
So Mr. Eduardo Gonzalez.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. It's Eduardo Gonzalez. I have a presentation for you here for item number 20, Flight 7 Memorial. Staff recommends the City Council consider approval of the request from the Flight 7 Memorial Committee to work with city staff to design and erect a memorial for the Pan Am Flight 7 at Marina Vista Park or another location within the city of Millbrae to be determined. The city was approached by the nonprofit group Pan Am Flight 7 Memorial Committee. Their request was for the city to allow placement of a designed plaque or a small monument in Millbrae to honor the individuals who were lost aboard Flight 7. They recommended Marina Vista Park as the optimum location due to its proximity to San Francisco International Airport and its long association with Bay Area aviation. Here's a quick Google Maps overview of Marina Vista Park, which you can see here right across the 101 from SFO, which you see on the right-hand side here. Just to orient everyone, this is north side of Millbrae. Here's Lomita Park Elementary and El Rancho here. So you get an idea of where Marina Vista Park is located right across from SFO. A little bit of background for the Pan Am Flight 7, which was named Romance of the Skies. It was an around the world flight that was from originating in San Francisco, would go around the world and would end in Philadelphia. And for this particular flight on November 8th, 1957, the first leg of that flight was from San Francisco International to Honolulu, Hawaii. And on this date of November 8th, 1957, this flight never made it to the island of Hawaii. It was lost in the Pacific Ocean. All 44 members on board were killed. That included 17 Bay Area residents. There's several theories for what happened to that flight. There was never a distress call by any of the crew members. And it kind of mysteriously just, ended up in the Pacific Ocean. As I mentioned, there's different theories, including in-flight fire, a maintenance issue that have all, been investigated, but there was, after the investigation, there was never a conclusive reason why, what happened to the crash. And this November will mark the 65th anniversary of the loss of Flight 7. So to explain the funding source and examples for a memorial, all of the funds will be raised by the nonprofit group Flight 7 Memorial Committee. They provided 2 examples of, on the left side here, you see one that was in memory of the Concord AF 4590 disaster on July 25th, 2000. And on the right-hand side is another example of a memorial. And just to note, the final design of the memorial will depend on the funds raised by the Flight 7 committee. If the council does approve to move forward, the city will be working with the Flight 7 committee to work on design and final placement for the memorial. So we'll bring that back again if council approves that request. So the council action for tonight, staff recommends the city council direct staff to work with the Flight 7 Memorial Committee to erect a memorial for the Pan Am Flight 7 in the city of Millbrae before November 8th, 2022, which marks the 65th anniversary. And with that, I'll go ahead and I'll turn it over to you, Mayor.
I'm sure that some of our council members have questions. We'll start with Vice Mayor Gina Pappin. Gina, you're muted.
It'd be great to hear from Mr. Fortenberry at this time, if that's okay.
You want to hear from him first? Awesome.
Please.
Ken, would you like to speak?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And I want to thank all of you for taking the time tonight to consider this request. And it's a little late here in North Carolina, but I'm grateful to be here with you this evening. We're at a real critical stage in our effort to erect this memorial, and we're so grateful to the city manager for bringing this to your attention tonight. And I think Mr. Gonzalez did an excellent job of outlining our plans. Other than that, an email that I sent all of you this weekend, I don't have a formal presentation. The short story simply is that the plane was lost at sea and 44 folks lost their lives, 17 from the Bay Area. And many of those folks whose bodies were never found, including that of my father and a number of other people from there. And they don't have a place, they don't have a burial site. And we've just thought for the longest time that it would be good to honor them in the memory of those folks who lost their lives on that flight. I think Mr. Gonzalez pointed out there's a historical angle to this as well, beyond the fact that this was the largest, most luxurious, it was the finest aircraft of its time. It was the Boeing 747 of the era. When this plane went down, it was not solved. The crash was not solved, as he pointed out. But the federal government realized that there need to be changes in aviation safety. And the next year, the Federal Aviation Administration was formed, in large part due to the fact that the standards for aviation safety were lacking at the time, and this crash pointed them out. We really want to memorialize these folks, but I've read your Parks Improvement Program, and I'm very ambitious, and it's a wonderful plan. I think this would add a historical aspect to it as well. And there would be no cost to the city, as he pointed out. I just thank you again so much for allowing us the opportunity to even present this to you this evening. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Do you have any connections to Millbrae, Ken? Or other than the airport being right there, because there's San Bruno and Burlingame? I mean, I'm very honored that you would choose.
No, honestly, I was in school in San Mateo at the time, and we lived in San Mateo. We did not live in Millbrae. I honestly don't know that anyone on this flight lived in Millbrae. They were all in that area, but not in the city of Millbrae.
Well, I respect your gratitude. It's not often that when people come so humble to our meetings, and I'm hoping that my council will support this. You have my support, that's for sure.
Thank you so much.
Councilmember Schneider? You're on mute. There you go.
Does the vice mayor want to go? Because she was before me. Okay. First of all, I am very happy to support this. This little known fact is that Pan Am did build a neighborhood here in Millbrae, and I have been trying to track it down. I think it's Bayside Manor. So we have a connection to Pan Am going way back. And as I told Mr. Fortenberry in an email over the weekend, my mom was the bookkeeper for Pan Am's flight attendants in their office in Burlingame until that division was merged into United Airlines. And I, in fact, worked there to pay my way through college, you know, on summer break. So it's a very sad thing, but it's a very lovely thing. Mr. Fortenberry, I think our Millbrae Historical Society will welcome you and your group with open arms. And I think this is really, truly lovely.
Thank you.
Happy to make the motion, Mayor,
Okay.
when the time comes.
Thank you. Ken, you might want to mention how much money you need to raise and how close you are to raising it.
That's a good question. We really don't know. We only raised about $3,500 so far. Most of that has been from small donations on GoFundMe through our Facebook page. We hope to raise about $10,000. Honestly, the site location has been a problem for us. It's difficult to raise money when people don't know where this is going to be. And this would be a big boost to us to be able to tell folks that the city of Millbrae has decided to allow us to place it there. And we think we can really move forward from there.
Mayor, if I could interrupt, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention that SFO Noise Roundtable is meeting on August 3rd. I've already tried to put this on a slot on the agenda. If not, we're going to cover it at the end of the meeting under comment. So we might be able to help with a little bit of fundraising. We do get pilots attending this meeting. We do get our dearly beloved FAA people on that. So I'm really excited to bring this to the full roundtable. And we get a lot of attendance at the roundtable.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I don't want to keep Mr. Fortenberry up too late. I would second the motion whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Councilmember Holliber?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Fortenberry, very welcome to our meeting, and look forward to supporting this and seeing this come up. I believe Marina Vista Park is SFO property, so I assume you've been in contact with them about making sure this is allowed there. Yeah, look forward to supporting this and look forward to meeting you and your group in November. We have an event there for the dedication. And yeah, long time coming, and glad to see this happening. Thank you.
Councilmember Fung, did you have anything?
Nope.
Okay,
Happy to support the motion as well.
beautiful. So we have a motion and we have a second. Elaine, can we please call for the vote?
Just for clarification, Madam Mayor, I do believe we have control over the park. So I don't think the placement would be an issue unless we can find something even better. So I think we're okay.
Okay, so the motion is to consider erecting a Flight 7 memorial in the city of Millbrae, so that we don't need to get nitpicky here for a second. All righty, that's the motion and it has a second. Thank you, Elaine. Ready?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Snyder,
Aye.
Councilmember Holliber.
Aye.
Councilmember Fung,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Absolutely.
Mayor Oliva.
Yes.
All right. New business item number 20 passed by a vote of 5-0.
And Mayor, just to close this, I'll be in touch with Mr. Fortenberry tomorrow and make arrangements to move on this and get things rolling. So I'd like to thank Ken. Very much appreciate the efforts.
Thank you so much. And I can't tell you all how much this means to me personally and to our committee. I think this will be a plus for all of us, and I'm so grateful to you tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome to Millbrae.
Thank you. I left my heart there. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Okay. Our other item of new business is item number 21, COVID-19. It's an update and preparation for the hybrid public meeting. And do we have a staff report on this?
Thank you, Mayor. This is going to be a tag team presentation between myself and our city clerk, Elaine Tran. So I will introduce it to Elaine Tran first for her half of the presentation.
Elaine, you're on mute.
Apologize for that. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council members. Tonight I'm providing the COVID update. Sorry, my screen. Since March 2020, the city implemented all necessary steps to provide a wide range of services online and by in-person appointments complying with health orders. The City Council and Commission and committees continue to hold public virtual meetings via Zoom. On June 30th, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, moved the San Mateo County from medium yellow to the high red COVID-19 community level category. The community level category is calculated by CDC, which uses the county's case rate and the region's COVID-19 hospital admissions and the percentage of inpatient beds in use by COVID-19 patients. As San Mateo County moves to a high risk category, the CDC recommends that residents wear masks indoors, in public and on public transportation. According to the County of San Mateo Health, that risk of exposure is greater, especially as Omicron subvariant spread more readily than previous variant of the disease. Although the County of San Mateo is not planning to implement a universal indoor mask requirement at this time, they are continuing to encourage vaccination boosters to lessen the risk of hospitalization and death. But even those who are vaccinated and boosted should wear high quality masks indoors to reduce their potential exposure to COVID-19. The San Mateo County Health COVID-19 dashboard is updated regularly. As of July 26, the total COVID-19 cases have reached 160,206 cases. And also 9,694 cases of which are from the last 30 days. The current RF rate is 0.98. The RF rate is the average number of people an infected person will infect. A value more than 1 means a decrease in spread, and a value greater than 1 means the increase in spread. Staff will continue to monitor the governor's emergency order that is still in effect, as well as communication from the CEC, County Health Officer, and Cal OSHA relative to COVID-19 updates, transmission, hospitals, hospitalization, deaths, and vaccination rates. And we'll update the City Council regularly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Elaine. So city facilities update. We reopened City Hall unregulated. So for walk-ins without appointments effective June 20th of this year. We have an inventory of personal protective equipment, both for our employees and any visitors that attend City Hall. We did install, these are photos on the right of touchless, plexiglass barriers for counter staff and the public. And then the middle bullet here, we did install a touchless temperature scanner and hand sanitizers at various locations in the lobby and throughout the staff areas. So we prepared for and did open to the general public on June 20th, and have had no issues. Everyone that has attended from the public has been great. So next slide, please. So we met with the City Council Technology Subcommittee as we've continued the process of working to reopen City Hall and reopen City Council meetings with a hybrid option. We've met with MCTV, our technology consultants and contractors, to determine what the needed upgrades would be at the City Council chambers, with the idea that this upgrade would create a very seamless hybrid meeting situation. So as we work with the different vendors, we had worked with 3 major vendors separately, as well as MCTV. The cost quickly started to escalate. They escalated higher than $500,000, and this exceeded the city's available public education government funds known as PEG funds, as well as it would be a significant impact on our general fund. So the project was reevaluated. We determined and wanted to identify what the least number of improvements with the least amount of cost for those improvements would be to open the council chambers to have hybrid meetings by September 13th, 2022, which is the first meeting in September after the council recess and the recommendation of the technology subcommittee as the date that we move into in-person hybrid meetings. So the good news is, working with MCTV again, they have the cameras, the high definition cameras. We do have the equipment that we could open for in-person meetings and hybrid meetings, but it won't be seamless. So we will have to, we already did purchase laptops and a separate laptop for the Zoom system and call-in, and it would be managing the meeting that we would, for example, any public comment, we would take public comment from people that are physically in attendance, and then we would move to public comment for people on Zoom. And so we could, with our existing technology, move to in-person and hybrid meetings. So the last bullet, as we open the council chambers with hybrid meetings and we proceed, there is a recommendation to also pursue the longer-term solutions and improvements necessary for a sustained hybrid option. And also the funding source. As I mentioned, PEG funds and our general fund are not sufficient. So we're recommending that we continue to accrue PEG funds, which we do annually. Right now, the balance is about $170,000. And we'll also be collecting development impact fees. And development impact fees can only be used for expanded infrastructure of the city. But because of our new population, we can draw on some of our impact fees that are necessary to expand the delivery of city council meetings to the greater public. So the funding sources that we've identified will accrue over the next year. They will not accrue really until the fiscal year of 2023 and 2024. So our anticipation is that we would move with this initial hybrid option for the next year or so. And then obviously we would hire an architect, meet with the city council, have preliminary designs, and go through that upgrade with the city council in the future, slated for that fiscal year 23-24. So next slide, please. So our recommendation is to receive the update on the current status of the COVID-19 pandemic and consider the technology subcommittee recommendation to convene in-person city council meetings with this hybrid option starting September 13th, 2022, and also continue to accrue the PEG funds and development impact fees until sufficient time that they're accrued that we can move forward with the design and bid of the longer term solution. This is anticipated that we would bring this back to the city council in fiscal year 23-24. So Mayor, that concludes our briefing and overview, and be happy to answer any questions.
Is this like the way of the future? Is this going to be forever, or is this just until, well, like, is this when COVID is obsolete?
So that's a great question, and my recommendation would be that that we do this for the long term, because I think we have seen more participation with our remote meetings. Some of our staff, for example, work in different cities and have long commutes, and so I am planning, and this is a council policy question, but I am planning that we make the improvements in 23-24. We start that process to make this a permanent option. And so the upgrades to the city council chambers would accommodate that option permanently.
And this does not require any masks?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, I'm totally, I can support all this. I think that letting staff have the option is super important to me, to allow, we have staff that lives farther than us, because we all live in Millbrae, obviously, and have a 5-minute commute no matter where we go. But I think that that's been really advantageous to them and their families. I think that it takes cars off the road. It's good for mental health. If they want to be there, great. If they need to get out of the house because their house is too active and they need to be there, that's great. But if they have the option to stay home, I would like to make sure that that option is open to our staff. I think that I found even in my business that the option for not having to rush or, juggle and having the option to sit in your living room and I don't see anything that we've suffered from by having staff be able to be hybrid as well as us. In fact, all of us, I mean, we've done business as usual, if you ask me. But there is a sense of going to the dais and conducting business in the office that feels a little bit different. But I'd like to keep the option open to the staff. Councilmember Holliver.
Yes, thank you. And legal counsel can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that AB 361, which allows remote access to public meetings, I believe sunsets in 2024, I think, if it's not extended. So I don't know if this is permanent, but at least, I think for the foreseeable future, there would be remote access and hybrid meetings. And if I could just speak on behalf of the technology subcommittee, we've met, several times over the last couple of months, both in terms of, the short-term transition to hybrid meeting and what it will take to get there, as well as the long-term improvements to the council chambers that are more permanent. We had originally anticipated that they would have started on construction by now, and perhaps we would be starting hybrid meetings in the Rec Center. However, the costs, quickly escalated far more than we are comfortable with pursuing. So I think I do support the recommendation to kind of rescope the council chamber upgrades to keep it a little bit more within budget, maybe try to get multiple bids from different contractors and working on with the architect to do that. I do feel that we are ready for the hybrid meetings. We have equipment. MCTV already has equipment. So this can be done at this time with minimal cost. And remote access would still be allowed for the public through Zoom if members of the public do not feel comfortable going into the council chambers or would rather stay at home and do something else while they're waiting to speak. That's fine. I think from a public health and safety aspect, there's really, I think at this point most people are living as if it is before COVID, and most people are not. Very few people wear masks in grocery stores, for example. But there are better tools now than there were in March 2020. So we should not, assume we're still at that point of the pandemic. And if anyone is just so I feel as that, in terms of the marginal increase to public health and safety by having our meetings held in person versus or hybrid versus Zooms is really minimal to the greater public. So I'm happy to support this motion and to convene hybrid in-person meetings starting the first meeting of September. I would also say one thing that was not included in the presentation that we discussed was for the committees and commissions. And at this time, the only committee or commission that has televised meetings is the Planning Commission. So I think the recommendation from the subcommittee would be to have the Planning Commission follow the council in terms of the hybrid meetings, and for the other committees and commissions to choose one or the other, either fully in person or fully remote, because of it does take additional staffing resources to have those meetings in a hybrid format, and there's much less public participation typically with those other committees and commissions than there are with the council or with the planning commission. That's where I'm sure Councilmember Fung and I would be happy to answer any questions from the council, any questions about the technology subcommittee meetings that we've had. Thank you.
I can't hear, Mayor, you're muted, but if you were calling me, I'll just go ahead.
Sorry.
Thank you. I wanted to say I agree with everything the mayor said, with one addition that has just flown out of my head. Remote meetings actually are a huge climate change issue. We could be counting actually saved greenhouse gases we're not generating. So just to add, with cars off the road, obviously there's a related greenhouse factor. The other thing I would put up, I think Councilman Holliver's comments about our committees. I'm liaison to 2 committees. My guess is they're going to be happy to keep meeting remotely, but I think we should, for staff to put that on the agenda of each of our committees. MCAC doesn't meet in August, or MCAC, Culture Arts does, but Community Enhancement doesn't. So it may take them a few months to get their opinions in. That said, one of the few countywide regional meetings met in Millbrae, and that's the SFO Noise Roundtable. And it was very advantageous to Millbrae. It was actually something our former mayor and former supervisor Mary Griffin fought hard to have those meetings in Millbrae, where frankly, everybody from the county has to come here and hear the noise from the airport. And that has been really lacking. And that is probably one of the reasons why last year they silenced ground-based noise meeting and spent a year working on Palo Alto issues. So I hope that we will be coming back. Now, the city had given that as a in-kind donation. So I think if we do come back, it was at the Chet Cootie Room in some kind of hybrid. MCTV was paid to videotape it. But if we bring it back, we might want to consider charging them, but I really would love to have the roundtable back in Millbrae. It's to our own advantage to have them here. Thank you.
Anybody else? Nathan, from any more council comments? No, I don't think so. Anders, did you have anything to add before I go to the public?
Councilmember Holliver has summarized our meetings very well. We visited, San Mateo, and we've done some pretty extensive research, I would say, in terms of what some of the other cities has been doing, and what are some of the changes that we foresee to be needed in order to ensure that these hybrid meeting is a success in our council chamber. And we've identified a great list of improvement that is needed to ensure that success. And we're finding ways to ensure that we can get it done in a most economic and cost efficient kind of way. So, and I think that's what City Manager Williams was talking about, that we're going to bring it back to the council probably the first part of next year. And then in the meantime, I think we've got all the technology we need in order to make sure that we're having an engaging hybrid meeting first thing in September. So
thank you. Okay, I'm going to go to public comment. We have Nathan Chan.
Yes, hi. I'll be brief. I just wanted to, it's possible that in the research that Councilmember Fung already mentioned, that you already came across this example, but I attended a Portola Valley Town Council meeting earlier this month, and it was pretty remarkable because about half the town council was on Zoom, half were in the schoolhouse where they meet. There were some staff members in the room running the meeting and taking public comments, but there was also a staff member actually conducting the presentation for the meeting. Public comment was taken on both Zoom and in person. It was pretty remarkable how seamless it felt, at least from my perspective as a remote attendee. I I don't know what it felt like within the room, but I'd be interested to know if you all looked into Portola Valley as a case study and what they're doing to enable that level of hybrid participation and whether that might be possible for Millbrae. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Nathan. Well, we need a motion from somebody.
I'll be happy to make the motion, Madam Mayor.
I'll second that.
Okay, let's call for the vote.
Councilmember Snyder,
Aye.
Councilmember Holliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Funk,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva.
Yes.
New business item number 21 passed by a vote of 5-0.
Council, we have completed our agenda. And we will go to council comment tonight. It's 8:55, 3 minutes or less, please. And we'll start with Councilmember Schneider.
Ground-based noise had its meeting last week, and for the neighborhoods, Bayside Manor and Marina Vista, we are working on some potential tiny little fixes in how airplanes taxi, and believe it or not, a rolling takeoff that may reduce some of the low frequency noise. Hang tight, it's going to take a good while to get those procedures in place. Adopt a Spot meeting is this Sunday, July 31st at 2 p.m. And residents Hemlock and Bayside Manor, please join us at 2 p.m. to talk about Adopt a Spot. In the last week, the city manager and I again toured Assemblyman Mullen's staff and Senator Becker's staff around the BART station to talk about the latest with California high-speed rail. And today, sadly, we lost the city manager, but today I toured the staff member for the Bay Area for Senator Padilla, our federal senator, and talked about a number of issues facing Millbrae. But most important is probably our request for the millions we will need to go tertiary water at the sewage treatment plant. A lot of it was because of high-speed rail, but it turns out she's quite well versed in our region. She came from Senator Wiener's office. We talked about habitat conservation plans, and I took her up to show her the airport and just how small our area is and the flooding in Lomita Canal. So hopefully now Senator Padilla will be there to help us with Millbrae issues. And finally, CCAG BPAC is meeting this coming Thursday. We have yet another grant cycle coming in, staff. This is the SMC, Transportation Authority, Cycle 6. We're to choose 2 members, so I think it's going to be some CMEC members. Ruben may know more about that. And this one, I think, and then the OBAG 3, the big grants, are coming to a special BPAC meeting that I now chair on, I think it's going to be August 23rd, and then it will go to CCAG in September. We're also going to get an update on safe routes to school. Millbrae now qualifies. They've changed the formulas. We didn't qualify in the past. However, the grant cycle for this year was right after Uvalde, right when the school district was still dealing with Measure E, and I do not think we've applied. But my request, city manager, is if our bike pedestrian people can meet with the school district and we start getting our ducks in a row for next year. Thank you.
Thank you. How about Councilmember Fung?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. PC meeting on Thursday. Hopefully I get more updates after the meeting. On August 11th, coming up, 5 p.m. at the Rec Center, there will be a Millbrae community gathering and a civic information forum. Everybody is welcome to join us. There'll be food available. The city manager, myself, a few, I think also the mayor. Mayor, maybe you'll be coming as well.
To be determined.
TBD, there you go. And I believe Vice Mayor is joining us on that day.
She said,
yeah, and also our police chief, Ms. Christina Corpus, will be joining us to discuss many different things, public safety, the newest development. the city's direction, where we're going, all of that. So please, everybody, it's a great opportunity to engage. Hepatitis B Free is an organization running awareness program for hepatitis B. It affects many people, especially of Asian descent. And then they're running free clinics and free tests. And then as soon as the dates are set, I think they're going to be doing something in Millbrae. I've been encouraging to do that. I will be announcing dates at which they can come in and do free tests, because this is a disease that riddles a lot of people and could develop into liver cancer. So with that, that's all my comment today.
Thank you. Councilmember Holliber.
Thank you. Don't have too much to report. Sorry, let's see. Sister Cities Commission had a meeting last night. Why don't we go ahead to
Vice Mayor. Sure. Vice Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Real quick on some of these things. Yes, please, can we get the letter out in support of reopening the Mickelson pool? The warm water therapy pool is extremely needed here. And can we copy the California Attorney General, Mr. Bonta's office, because it's time for them to step in on this issue.
Who signs that letter, please?
I believe the mayor would sign it. Because the city already passed a resolution. So we are already in support of that. So whatever the sample letter says, we are working with council member Fung from Hillsborough on August 13th at our rec center between 3 and 5 p.m. We're going to have a bit of a self-defense class for people of all ages. Just basic self-defense. These days, too many things are going on. We don't have it all together yet, but you'll be informed. The city's bi-weekly newsletter just went out, and we have to add on there how you sign up for the newsletter. It was very well done. I compliment staff on getting that out, but please, at somewhere on the newsletter, put how you'd sign up for regular updates. We also need to be updated on the rec center punch list. A lot of things still need to get done, and Mr. Holliber and I probably want to check out some of those real quick. Went to a new restaurant opening in Burlingame, HL Peninsula Hot Pot and Grill. And I say that because the owner is from Millbrae, just in a where the Elephant Bar used to be. Very, very, it's just a beautiful location and wonderful food. We got to spend the day lunch with Martin Yan. Yan can cook. Just a great guy, so that was fun. And let's see here, I'm going to ask to work with the mayor on a local business and working with the sheriff's department. We had a very disturbing incident where one of our business owners was punched in the face, and the sheriff's department basically let the guy go until it was brought to the attention of several by myself, and business owners shouldn't have to do that. So if you commit a crime in Millbrae, we want to make sure you are held accountable. This was even a parolee and was let go until a bit of a fuss was made. Was since picked up, but we have some problems where business owners are not willing to report crimes. We want all crimes reported. They are not allowed in Millbrae. So several business owners have asked for somewhat of a summit that they can feel more confident about our law enforcement. And I do need, if Councilmember Schneider can send me who she's met with regarding the BART station and high-speed rail. We're trying to put all those pieces together so we can keep everybody on the same page. That would be helpful. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you very much.
Vice Mayor, can we just help clarify that if there's a crime and you feel like you need help, don't report it to us, call 911. You said report.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Call 911, and we're working on the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
Actually enforcing the laws for the benefit of all of our citizens and our businesses.
I just want to make sure they don't call. We don't
call 911. And I am sorry this business owner had to bring other people in just to get a response. That should never, ever happen. Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilmember Holliber.
Thank you about that. Exhibit A as to why we need to start meeting in person. Very little to report tonight, just the Sister Cities Commission meeting. Sister Cities Commission met yesterday. They have actually received some communication from La Serena, Chile. They hope to revive that relationship, which has been long dormant. There was also some communication from Taichung, Taiwan. There is a representative of that city who's been in contact with one of the commission members about potentially starting a friendship city there. And there's a subcommittee that's been formed to work on next steps for trying to bridge that potential relationship. I think everyone from the council attended the tree planting ceremony a couple of months ago. I guess that was early June outside of the Recreation Center. It was a wonderful event with lots of people, both from the Maltese community, the Palestinian community, and other communities. And the Sister Cities Commission is going to be working towards putting some type of a plaque, a dedication plaque for that tree. So look out for that and for the next couple months. And that's all that I have. The Parks and Recreation Commission was canceled again. And the CMEC committee does not typically meet in July, but as Councilmember Schneider mentioned, we will be meeting in August to discuss the OVAD 3 grants. That's it. Thank you.
Awesome. So I'll start with this morning, our city manager got an email with regards to our type 1 strike team going to the Oaks Fire in Mariposa. And so CCFD is helping with that fire near Yosemite. So everybody keep everybody in their thoughts for safety and prayers for their safety. And I want to let everybody know that on August 3rd, if you can be available, I think city manager will be by the BART station, but we are having a press release to celebrate the success of the homeless subcommittee and the group that has Life Moves, that has teamed up with the city of Millbrae and done an excellent job exceeding the year goal in before a half a year. So we are trying to get council members, please write that down. And it's at 11 o'clock. So if you can make yourselves available, it would be great to have everybody and your neighbors there. And
what day was that again? Sorry.
It's August 3rd. It'll be with our sheriffs, with our Life Moves, and with Supervisor Pine will be there. And of course, our city staff that's been working so diligently with that team. So that'll be exciting, something to celebrate. We're over our 1 year goal, team. We're over our 1 year goal. And I think that the word on the street has been pretty good, pretty positive. People have noticed that the program's working. With that, all my meetings are next week. So I always get it the week after. So I want to maybe close tonight in remembrance of a Millbrae resident, Candy Caro. And she has raised her children here in Millbrae, and a longtime resident, and battled cancer and died just too young, but very, very good resident and supporter of our beautiful city of Millbrae. All right, can we adjourn this meeting? Thank you all. 9:09. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice August.
Good night.
See you in September.
Yep.
Bye.